TIFU I made fun of a guy who doesn't know how to do laundry. I started seeing this guy about 3 weeks ago. Let me be clear, we have known each other for a long time because he was a friend of my cousin. He asked me out few weeks ago and I said yes. I have known him since I was like 15. I also know his family too because our moms were colleagues. So, anyway, he came to my house 5 days ago to pick me up because we were having a picnic date. I was in the living room watching a kids show, Phineas and Ferb. I really like this show. I have been watching the reruns since I was a kid. This cartoon had a huge impact in my life. I still watch it whenever my mood is off so that I can still cling on to the innocent child inside me. I was laughing at a part. And he was standing next to me. He was a little confused judging by his expression. He asked me if my nephew was in the house. I told him no. Then he asked me then who is watching cartoon since all of my family members are adults. I told him I was watching it. And I really like this cartoon. I then proceed to tell him that I still watch this particular cartoon because it was a part of my childhood and I have some good memories linked to it. He told me it is really embarrassing and ridiculous. I asked why. He told me that I am a 24-year-old woman. Why am I watching something kids watch and I need to grow up? It really bothered me. I don't think there is an age limit to watching cartoons. Since that day he would make fun of me. Whenever we go to restaurant he would jokingly order from the kids menu. He would talk to me in baby voice as if I am a kid. Whenever I tell him to stop he would say, "Aw, lil, op, got mad? How cute." And sometimes even use phrases like young lady. It was really frustrating. Today we went to a party, his friends were there too. I was meeting them for the first time. He introduced me and said to his friends that he needs to be locked up because he is technically dating a minor. He then tells them how I still watch cartoons and they all laughed. Some of them find it awkward. He also made fun of my height too. I am 5 feet 4 and he is 6 feet 1. He proceeds to shuffle my hair like people do on kids. I got mad and told him, it's funny how he makes fun of me being a kid. Yet he still needs his mommy to do his laundry. His smile just wiped out of his face. I further said, well at least this kid knows how to keep herself clean and know how to drive unlike him who failed the driving test 2 times. The room went silent. Later when I got home, I got calls from my cousin that I overreacted and embarrassed him in front of his friends. And he was right to make fun of me because who the hell watches cartoon when they are adults? I told her I am not interested in entertaining boys who feels like they can make fun of anyone they want but when someone does the same they act like little babies. I guess that is it. Probably the shortest relationship I have been on. Too long did not read. A guy the first was seeing made fun of me because I watch Phineas and Ferb in front of his friends. So I gave him the taste of his own medicine. Now he is pissed. Mini update. Well my cousin again texted me. She told me he was upset and after the party he went home with his girl best friend, and spend the night there. She wants me to apologize because apparently, I am letting a good guy slip. Well, let him slip. Slip inside a volcano. Stood your ground. Embarrassed someone who needed taking down a peg or two. Got out of a relationship before it got too toxic. Sounds like you did everything but foo. He could learn to do his laundry. He's also unkind. She told me he was upset and after the party he went home with his girl best friend, and spend the night there. I am letting a good guy slip. Maybe I'm jaded and just don't trust people, but this hardly sounds like a solid move by a good guy. If that's all it took to run to another woman. Doesn't sound like a fuck-up. He deserved the embarrassment. I suppose this relationship won't be going anywhere then. I am in my 40s and watch cartoons. Sounds like they are a bit insecure. Today I fucked up by watching Netflix on my GF's iPad while I was gaming. Obligatory. This was not today but about 4 years ago, but reading similar posts reminded me of a situation I found myself in. As the title says, I, M26, had a day off, and my GF, F26, at the time, now my wife, but I digress, was working. So I booted up the Xbox for some me time and figured I'd throw a background show up on the iPad for some background noise. Just ADHD things, am I right? Anyways, while playing, I kept noticing Facebook Messenger notices from this one guy popping up. It was not really a huge deal. She had never given me reason to not trust her, and we both have friends of the opposite sex that are purely platonic friendships. But something he said in one of the message previews caught my eye and I snooped against my better judgment. It was quickly apparent that this guy was thirsting after her, and while she didn't respond with anything I would consider outright cheating, she also didn't try to put a stop to it. The things he was saying to her, telling her if he was alone with her he didn't know if he could hold himself back despite her having a BF, reminiscing about their history. He was an ex who lived in another state she had moved from, I later found out, and encouraging her to leave me and go see him to hook up when we were to be vacationing in that state a few months later, made my blood boil. I wanted to get a plane ticket, find this guy, and beat the ever-loving shit out of him. I distinctly remember trying to calm myself down with a nice shower at one point, thinking of what he was saying to her, and getting so upset I punched the tile so hard she thought I had fallen over. Again, she wasn't the one saying the stuff. Her responses were usually short, and sometimes she would try to change the subject, but she also wouldn't shut it down. I didn't know how to approach it because, obviously, I had breached her trust by reading the messages in the first place, but their relationship was not okay if we were going to continue being together. I casually asked her about him once, and she described him as just an old friend, which was a lie, and I knew it, but I didn't drag anything more out of her. For months, I stewed over it, to the point I considered ending things with her. I started looking for solid evidence of her cheating on me, but I knew that wasn't fair to her as she wasn't the one fully responsible and, again, she never took things too far on her end. I finally reached a breaking point. We lived together, but every time I saw her, all I could think about were the messages. My mood would sour. She would ask me what's wrong, and I would say nothing, which was making her suspicious of me. Finally, after several months of anxiety and anger, which was beginning to hurt our relationship, I broke down and came clean. She admitted the true nature of their past relationship and that she knew it was too far, but she didn't want to lose a friendship. She promised to set boundaries with him, and when he continued to break those boundaries, she inevitably ended her friendship with him altogether, which was certainly a show of good faith on her part. I learned that the best thing you can do in a relationship is have difficult conversations and avoided snooping anymore, as I realized she clearly put me first. Sometimes, dudes are just gonna be horndogs. We have been married a couple of years now, and we both continue to grow together. While this was a positive outcome, the months of panic attacks, anger, and generally poor mental health were trying and very nearly ended an otherwise healthy relationship. TLDR. Was watching Netflix on the GF's iPad, saw concerning messages from an ex, and mentally tortured myself for months before finally confronting it. Edit 1. Y'all are wilding out. This was a low point in the relationship. Was it emotional cheating? I mean, yeah, but I wasn't a saint either. I had been cold and distant. Obviously, communication is not a strength of mine, and while it doesn't justify anything, to the people who say she's doing it again or she's definitely cheating on me, I could tell something was wrong long before I ever discovered the message. Because when you're being cheated on or cheating, you're never as slick as you think. You wear it on your sleeve each and every day. It's very obvious when someone is checked out, and right now, we are both all in. That could change and would suck, but frankly, none of us are getting out of this clean. When one person quits trying, the relationship is dead long before infidelity takes place. Man, you had such an easy in just to say, "Hey, I was watching Netflix on your iPad and accidentally saw some gross message previews from some dude. What's that about?" But instead sent full seclusion inside your head. Very good example of why it's good to just immediately address issues and not let things stew. I honestly don't get why people don't instantly tell people to stop or block them when they keep hitting on you while they know you're in a relationship. You're not ending any kind of friendship that way, because the other person doesn't see you as a friend but only interact with you for more. It might suck if you think of them as friends, but if they don't respect you, they aren't your friends. You didn't foo by reading the message. The only foo was to not politely bring it up with her as soon as you saw her. Snooping really affects the mind, which leads to overthinking and stress. Speaking your mind should not be that hard, especially if it's with someone you want to have in your life. Today I fucked up by leaving the clone a Willy that I made for my girlfriend at my parents' house. A couple years ago I decided I'd make one of those clone a Willy dildos for my girlfriend as a present and a bit of a joke. For anyone who doesn't know, it basically makes a replica of your penis but in dildo form. However, we were between moving houses at the time of this and needed to store things at my nearby parents' house. The penis was one of the many things which was left there whilst we were moving into our new house. Flash forward to last week. My dad tells me he's going to have a clear out of all my old stuff in my room and wardrobe for storage. Thinking nothing of it, I let him do his thing and carry on until it suddenly occurred to me that this clone a cock was still in my wardrobe at my parents' house. After panicking about the situation, I remembered that I'd stored it in a bag, behind a small chest of drawers within the wardrobe which I presumed he wouldn't have been able to find. Ah, how wrong I was. I went to visit yesterday and went for a look in the wardrobe whilst I was there to check what he'd removed. The clone a Willy had disappeared and was no longer where I left it. I began rummaging through every single drawer and shelf within that room and still could not find it. So either he's not realized what was in the bag and thrown it in the loft bin, or has opened it and realized that his son has a purple clone a Willy in his wardrobe and then moved it somewhere else. Both me and my partner find this hilarious more than anything. However, I may now have to have a very awkward conversation with him and ask where my model penis is. Too long did not read. I left the clone a Willy mold I made for my girlfriend at my parents' house and it's now disappeared. Dad to himself. My future daughter-in-law likes small dildos. Your dad just thinks you had a dido. Not a mold of your dick and not your GFS dildo, yours. I did this too. When my wife and I were dating, we moved a state over for 7 months to stay with my mom. We left it under the mattress when we moved back, along with leaving some other stuff that wouldn't fit in the car. My mom sent my brother with the rest of our stuff that wouldn't fit at a later time. Inside a box, wrapped in 2 plastic shopping bags, was a perfect mold of my penis lol. Hopefully he hasn't given it to your mom. Maybe he saw your clone a Willy and mistook it for a Q-tip. I just think it's funny that, technically, your dad stole your dick. Today I fucked up by changing my name. I F32 and my girlfriend F24 have been dating since 2.5 years, living together since 2. Marriage is on the cards and everything is great. I am an actress, mildly famous in a third world country. Here, it's quite common to change names in our industry for multiple reasons. Name being too mundane. Changing surnames to hide caste. Casteism is bad here and it affects viewership. Getting a name and surname that looks cool on screen. There is already a leading actress with my name in the industry. I knew years back when I entered in the industry that I might have to change my name down the line. My mentors and directors suggested it was time, so I did it. GF is not a fan of my new name. She says it feels pretentious and she feels odd calling me by my new name, and seems like she is talking to someone else. It's been a year and she still calls me by my old name. I understand that it's out of habit and I'm fine if she uses it at home. But she has been using my old name even outside the house, in industry parties, interviews, etc. Which is not what I want. I am trying to build an identity here and get my old name off the books, and I've tried to explain this to my girlfriend but it falls on deaf ears. Sometimes she'd agree that she'd take care of it but really doesn't. And some days she just says she can't get used to it and that, I fell in love with, old name. I don't know who, new name, is and I can't connect with it. I have no idea how to deal with this situation. Too long did not read. I changed my name due to professional reasons and kind of spoiled my personal relationship with my girlfriend since she can't connect with me. Reframe things. Your old name is just for her to use, in intimate situations, when you're completely hers. Make it something private, a shared connection. Your new or stage name is for when other people are around, work functions, etc. but only she gets that part of you. No one else can hear or share it. This sounds like there might be more going on here than just her having a problem with the name change. It doesn't take that much effort to change what you call someone and only get easier with time. But going out of your way to call someone the wrong name is just rude no matter what the reason is. I can't help but wonder what would drive her to intentionally do something you've made clear as upsetting, and if she perhaps has some other frustrations she isn't telling you. It's certainly not a very loving way to behave. It's not like you have changed. If she can't accept this then it's a her problem, not a you problem. It's been a year for her to get used to it. You need to decide what you are going to do if she never changes.